Got it.
All right, you there?
Yep.
Yes.
Blake, let's start with your name and the title you want in the story.
Blake Pickens, comedian and filmmaker.
It's good. That's good. Brian, name and title you want in the article.
Brian Pickens and game developer.
Love it. Okay, perfect. We're here talking about Diverse Alumni Initiative, showcasing people that have come through USC and are diverse. And I just want to start. You guys grew up in Oklahoma in a largely Native American community. Can you tell me what it was like growing up in that community?
Well, I would actually say it was like not just it like our household was Native American, but the rest of our community was like just
It was largely poor diversity.
yeah, we like it was like every race, but everybody was poor.
Yeah,
We grew up in a community where we were plugging holes in the wall with stuffed animals in the winter, but people had it worse than us. Like we were
yeah,
like
yeah,
in our community, even though we had to plug holes in the wall, like we were like better off than most of the people.
yeah, for sure. Brian, do you want to add to that?
I mean, yeah, like you're saying, it was more of a. It wasn't necessarily a native community. It was more of a just everyone was kind of their community, and everyone was kind of facing the same problems, and everyone was facing just like the. It was just an very impoverished community.
So
Did
how
we
on
like
earth, from an
okay,
impoverished community, how do you even get the bug to be a video game designer and a film producer?
take it, Brian. You go
I
first.
know. It's kind of just for me. It was more of a. Our parents always just said, okay, if you want to like live a different life, then you need to like education.
Yeah,
Education is everything. They're just like, all right, cool. Like there was never even a question of like if we were going to go to college. It was like when you go to college, and so it was a always just trying to figure out how to get more school, get more education, get
right.
smarter. But at the same time, we didn't necessarily have we didn't really have like role models to look up to of like, oh, like I didn't know like game developers or like I didn't really know anyone who was actually doing very well.
Yeah, sure.
And so for me, a lot of it was just like, okay, I'm gonna try a bunch of stuff out and see where it goes. And that's how I ended up, you know, I've got undergraduate degrees in psychology and Russian, and then I ended up with a graduate degree in game design, and now I work as an
Okay.
engineer.
Yeah,
And so it was more of a like a widespread of like just trying to figure out what I was into and what I liked, and just kind of chasing things and opportunities as they came up.
that's great. Blake, same question. How did you get the inkling to be a comedian writer?
I mean, for me, it was like me and Brian, our grandma was a hoarder. So she would just like, if she had ever met a person, she found something at the thrift store or a rummage that like was their size, she would buy it and she would store it, even if she was never going to see that person again. So we had this entire room filled with like clothes that we could just put on. And so we started putting on like sketches of
Yeah,
stuff that was going on in the community. And like it was always comedy focused about the crazy, like, I don't know, kind of like the tragedy that was going on in the community, but we thought like we found ways to make it funny. And
right.
like it was like that sort of bug very early on of like that performance and that like storytelling that like drew me towards it, but like obviously didn't think it was like a real thing that was possible for someone who's like poor. Like, it didn't make sense. It was like me and Brian both were like doctor, attorney,
Mm.
businessman, something that like guarantees a specific lifestyle and a specific income level that gets you out of a neighborhood like that.
Yeah, sure.
Also, it was interesting because like once we made it past like fifth grade, we were above our peers, and so it was kind of like
Yeah,
a uncharted territory as soon as we got past pretty much elementary school. Just like, all right, just let's see how far we can go. We've already made it farther than everyone else.
Yeah.
for sure. How has being native inspired you, or how has it guided you as an artist when you're out there making? What are some examples of times that being native guided you?
I think
Yeah, first.
I mean, for me, it's like everything is like community driven, right? So like when I'm doing something, I'm thinking not only about how this benefits me, but how it benefits other people and how it benefits people around me and how it can uplift other people. And so I think that it's like a mindset that I go into every project with is like, how do we do this as a community and how does this actually help? And I think that's like that's inspired definitely by like the way that our tribe behaves and the way that like our culture is built on.
Ryan, same question.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go a lot along the lines of Blake's thing. Is more of just like taking a very just like people first aspect, and like when you're like making things, it's like very much a just like thinking how this affects everybody, or how it like how people interact with something, or just how it how just like anyone will interact with a thing. It's very much a just taking it from like a very communal
Yeah.
aspect.
And then we keep Sweetgrass in the house.
Yeah. Damn right you do. What was it like being Chickasaw at USC? Did people create any faux pas when you first got there? We'll leave names out.
Well, it wasn't even about faux pas. It was just weird being like the one. Like
Yeah.
you look everywhere and like you're looking for community and like you're like, oh yeah, we're the one that they let in this year. And then like I know that sounds negative.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah, I'll probably edit that.
Yeah. It just there wasn't even a student resource for me that I knew of. Like
Yeah.
it was very like you just show up and you're like, oh, okay, cool. I don't have community here either. I just have to I have to search for it elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. And how did you find community outside? Both of you.
What to say?
Well, I mean, go ahead.
To answer that that last question was the faux pas was more or less that when I got there, a lot of people expected me to make things that were like distinctly like this is identifiable as native.
That's annoying.
And whereas more like no, I was like, no, I want to explore my own things and do what I want to do. I don't necessarily have to represent the race here.
Yeah, for sure.
And so
it sounds like you had a good run finding community in Los Angeles with native Hollywood and native video game making. Tell me a little bit about what it means to connect to the native scene in Los Angeles.
I mean, it feels good because like you automatically oftentimes have a similar background already, like whether they're from a reservation or not from a reservation, oftentimes just based on like the history of America, like native people are going to be coming from poverty. And so like, whereas when, you get to a school where there's a lot of wealth, like you don't necessarily like you have to work really hard to find your people. Like Ryan, I would consider you my community as well because you also come from poverty. And so, like, we had that in common. And like even though you're not indigenous, like it's still it was you find your people where you find them.
Yeah. Brian, same.
Sounds like you just gave Ryan permission to use the R word.
No, not even.
Which one?
Red.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's a lot of it also like within finding like native community within like all of this is just one of the best things is everyone has the similar sense of humor because everyone has that kind of like dark gallows humor of like
yes,
like because you'll make jokes around other people and they kind of you're like, man, that's kind of fucked up, and then you get to them and they're like, yeah, because they've been through it too, so they kind of have a similar worldview on like you have two choices of you can either laugh or cry about all the bad things that happen, and with most of us choose to laugh about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I want to go out. There's always a eureka moment. I like to ask alumni when I have them, what's your biggest pinch me moment as an alum, like a film opening or a game opening, or just like, I can't believe this is my life.
Oh man, I think it actually happened this week when we were at Disney and they were there to watch something that I produced for Disney.
Yeah, and I'm still sick.
It's insane. It was just like, oh, like I did it. I won filmmaking. I beat the game. Like,
Brian, what about you?
I guess it's less. It's hard to say about pinch me moment. It's more of just like being like once I graduated and like got a job that was like a jobby job, and then like the first time I like got like a paycheck that wasn't like minimum wage, I was like, holy fuck, this is how other people can live.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, if that tells you anything.
Because like growing up, like the rich people in our community made like $40,000 a year.
Yeah, the bit in fucking Asher was they had two parents. Like that was nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
dude,
Like I
and
was
I
on
think
cloud nine because I had a mom.
Mhm.
no, straight up. I mean, like in our like in our original neighborhood in Oklahoma City, like yeah, having two parents, like we were pretty lucky. We were killing
Mhm.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
because
And
I
one
guess
that
yeah,
and one that worked. Like we don't work like people in the
Dang.
household worked. Crazy.
yeah.
I want to close out with a couple more. I always like to ask alumni. Is that weird? The
No, no,
formality.
no.
No, just we
I always
shooting
like
through
to.
this fast. Help them giving you good
Yeah.
answers.
Oh, well, it's gonna be like a 3-page thing.
Oh, okay.
In the magazine. So we have alumni. We always like to ask about working in the industry, and we'll start with film with Blake, and then we'll go to video games and Brian. Is there a secret that you wish you could tell you when you were at USC? What's alternately, if you just want to say the best piece of advice, we can name check a professor.
There's a secret. Um, if you already have something, Brian, you can jump in
No,
first.
I mean, it's like, is it like something I wish I knew like for about getting into the industry, or is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
more
in general.
like, let's see.
Oh, I have one.
Good.
I wish that I knew that there were two. Me and you, Ryan, we talk about this all the time. There are two parts to the job that
Yeah,
are both of equal importance. It's being able to do the thing. It's being able to put light into the camera and sound into the microphone. And then there's being able to like network and party and do all the things that you need to do for someone to allow you to put light into the camera and
yeah,
sound into the microphone.
yeah,
And
for
like
sure.
you have to be able to do both of those well because you can be the best artist in the world if you can't talk to people, if you can't like hustle and do that sort of thing, if you're not meeting the right people, like no one will see your art. You won't have the money to do your art. None of that'll matter. You have
Yeah,
to be able to do both at some level.
for sure.
Yeah, I guess I'm actually, I was coming up with two as you were saying it was because I remember at my first job, uh like I got in like really like tight with like the like vice president of the company, and that like, and that was literally just because I would just hang out and talk to him in his office every now and then, and
Yeah,
that paid off in like kind of two ways. And in one way, it was just like eventually that they had to actually lay off everybody on that team. But as soon as they laid me off, he was like, "Hey man, you're not supposed to get severance, but I got you severance, and then also here's like four people you can call because I want you to
fantastic.
have a job."
That's fantastic.
And so he didn't do that for anyone else. He literally just was like, "Hey man, I got you extra, and I bet I can have you a job in a month from now." And that came from just like hanging out and just being nice. But then also, um, it was funny. Is one of the things I was when I was just talking with him, he was saying a lot of times like with him and other like people who are like in like the like hiring positions, they look for the skill, they look for the skills, they look for the people who are like really good at the job, but they're also measuring a lot of, is this person just fun to be around?
Yeah,
Because he was saying that, in games, and maybe it's different in film a little bit, but in games, when you're in an office, it's like you're spending 8 hours a year a day around this person 5 days a week. So you're spending a large portion of life around these
yeah,
people. And a lot of
Yeah.
times hiring managers would rather have somebody that's fun to hang out with who can get the job done versus the best person.
yeah.
If
That
they
makes
didn't like, if they can't just hang out, because like he was like, I'm too old to like be putting up with like a bunch of like Madonna, like prima donnas and stuff. He's like, I want people who are fun to hang out with at work, who can
yeah,
also
that
get the
makes
job
sense.
done.
That sounds right to me. I want to close up before we go to your credits, which we're going to list in a sidebar. What does being an SEA alum mean to you personally, if we're being positive?
Oh, no, I'm very I know that I was like kind of negative
Yeah,
about like the Native American experience there, which I think is fair. I think that but like graduating from there has opened up so many opportunities that I'd not otherwise have. It gives me a network that I never could have had. Like I can't imagine like if I went to any other school, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now and at the same level and at the speed that I've been able to do it, just because like you're immediately plugged into people who are like experts in their field who are doing it. So like being a graduate is something that's very important to me. And it's all something I like literally wanted to go to USC since I found out that it was a school in like elementary school. I was like, I want to go to USC. That's the place I want to go. And so like going there has always been a dream for me. And I'm very happy that I went.
that's great. Brian, same question.
Yeah, it was very much a the again, just to give you a soundbite, the UFC mafia is very real.
Yes.
Like going there definitely connected me to a ton of people who can get me jobs and who will and also because while I've been at my job, I've had multiple times the hiring manager come back, hey, do you know this person who went to USC? And then that's pretty much like an in for me, like, yeah, cool, like hire them. And so I've had that happen for me. I've had it happen on being on the opposite end of it. So it's definitely especially with games, so many people going into the industry are coming out of the games program from there. So even like just your graduating class and the even and the people around you within the program are almost more important than knowing your professors really well, because they're going to be the people who are in the jobs that you're also applying to as well.
Also, I met one of my favorite creative partners, you.
Yeah.
Ryan. So I mean that's like an important thing too, is you meet the people who you're gonna work with in the future. That's an amazing thing. And you meet in I don't know, in a thing where you're getting to play around and experiment and stuff before you actually do it for real.
Yep.
Can I get Brian start with you? What credits you want listed in the sidebar? So it's gonna be like Brian Pickens, game designer, and a few bullet points. What would the bullet points you want to be?
I guess is it things I've
games
done
you worked
or
on, AGPs, capstones, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Just stuff that shows what you've done.
Do
you want to go first, Blake?
Yeah, Blake, you go first while I'm thinking about this one.
You have a chance.
Yeah, the land, Wild Indian, Rugrats, Spirit Rangers, Rubble and Crew, The Roof. Those are probably the big ones.
All right, Brian.
I'm trying to think because most of the stuff I've worked on is delisted now. Because I guess so we could.
You did Lego.
Yes, as I know, yeah, Lego, Hidden Side, NBA Ball Stars, which is also
yes.
I think is delisted now. What was the Nickelodeon?
That one had a big advertising campaign behind it, though.
It did, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Let me see what this one was named.
Ball Stars.
Huh?
The family are Ball Stars.
Ball Stars, baby.
Let's see. You can put Nickelodeon Kart Racers.
Oh yeah.
You can put It's in Here VR.
Didn't they put Stranger Things yet? Stranger Things
VR? It's announced, but it's not released. So
yeah, that's okay. We'll leave it. If we need to edit, we can.
Yeah, if you want more, I can dig up more
that's fine.
credits to put in.
Well, guys, I hate to cut this short, but I'm actually sick as a dog, so
yeah.
I think I lay down in the tub.
Yep.
All right, sounds good, man.
You go exfoliate, man.
Hope you feel better.
All right, later.
Bye.
I got monkeypox.